Ooh, what's up, Internet? Bucky, Sam, and someone else are on a mission this week because this is the spoiler chat for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you haven't seen it, this is episode 3. My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clever.
We get nerdy nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
That's right. I almost said it, and then I was like, Nerdy.
Yeah.
You haven't done the spoiler disclaimer yet. People might not have left.
Yeah. We need to let people know that we're talking spoilers.
But yeah, this was a whole episode of Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
It was an entire episode, yes.
I still want to call him Captain Falcon, and I know that's not his name yet. And it's never his name, right? Because Captain Falcon is my favorite Smash character, but it is. I love the Falcon punch.
Okay, well,
I do.
a guy can dream, you know?
Yeah. I want to see a live-action Captain Falcon movie where he's racing his car.
Oh my god.
I would love to see a live-action Super Smash Bros. Movie because I think that would be bonkers and really fun.
That would be outrageous.
Yeah, but Kirby should never be live-action. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that would make me uncomfortable in ways I don't want to think about.
What are we talking about?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Because this title needs two thes.
I'm just going to start calling it Falcon Winter Soldier.
Falcon Soldier. Or Winter Falcon.
Winter Falcon.
Like WandaVision, but it's Winter Falcon. I'd be down for that.
Perfect. All right, this is now Winter Falcon.
This was a good episode of television for the most part. And there were some things in it that I felt like were like out of place almost.
Okay, like what?
Well, the episode starts with the meeting of Winter Soldier and Zemo.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the fact that they broke him out in the way that they did.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
But at the same time, I felt like not letting Sam in on the plan felt weird.
Yeah.
In retrospect. In the moment, I was like, oh, this is fun and it's funny. But then he's like, I need you to trust me. And he's like, fine, I'm in. And then Bucky's like, well, I already did it. And I'm like, I
don't know. That seems very Bucky to me. I was like,
100%.
Yeah, I buy it.
100%. I don't know. The breaking out of Zemo to me is it feels very comic booky in a fun way.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't know that like we've seen movie Winter Soldier be so flippant about things before. Like Bucky, I feel like Bucky in the arc of the show that we've seen so far is trying so hard not to hurt people, is trying to be careful, is trying to be all of these things.
Yeah.
And I feel like he did like 1,000 steps in the other direction in this episode.
Well, nobody really got hurt except for like prisoners who like fought each other.
But like I just agree with Sam so hard that he broke the most dangerous person out of prison.
You disagree with Sam?
No, I agree with Sam. I agree with Sam so hard. Sam is like, we can't break him out.
I mean, yeah.
Also, break him out the day that we were there.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you can break him out without being there. So it's like I don't know how they would have done it. I think like they honestly just did it for like necessity, and there was a lot in this episode, so I think they just like got it done.
Oh no, I totally get it. And the show wants to set up a future problem, right? Like, obviously, him being out in the world is going to be a problem for somebody at some point.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a big issue.
I just couldn't help but kind of sit there and be like, maybe like, spend another minute thinking this one through, Bucky. Who is more dangerous, right? The man who almost brought down the Avengers, like, literally, and did, right? Like, the man who made Captain America be a fugitive from the American government for 2 years, and the only reason he's no longer a fugitive is because he's dead. Is that person more or less dangerous than these flag smashers who have, like, stolen some medicine? I get that they are super soldiers, but, like...
Well, they're super soldiers who are literally trying to wipe out half of the population.
No. They're trying to take the borders back. They're not trying to kill people. They want to remove the, like, governments that were reinstalled after people came back. But they don't want to kill all the people who were gone.
Wait, I thought their whole thing was they wanted to go back to what life was with the blip. So
from a government perspective, like, they want to remove they want to remove the governments that were installed during the blip. Is their whole mission, right?
I literally thought this whole time that they were trying to murder half the planet.
No, then they wouldn't be, like, giving out medicine and stuff to refugees.
Cool. Well, I learned something.
You took them saying we want to go back to how things were very literally.
Well, that's what I thought it meant. I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's pretty dangerous. Like,
no, they're trying to destabilize, like, the government that have been installed post return from the blip.
What governments?
All, like, the governments were basically just, like, put back in charge.
What do you mean put back in charge? The government never went away during the blip.
Half of them did, right?
Yeah,
and that's the whole thing. Like, half of the government went away, and then when they came back, people were just kind of, like, reinstated, and everything kind of... Wait,
how do we know that they were all just reinstated? That there wasn't, like, a vote?
We don't, actually. That's a good point.
Now I'm confused. Because I feel like this has not been explained properly.
You know what? I'll agree with that. I think that post-blip, a lot... It's so impossible to explain the minutia of, like, well, what happens to the government? Like, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, I just feel like they could at least... there has to be some kind of clarification. Because I was literally sitting here 4 episodes in thinking that...
3 episodes.
Wasn't today 4?
That's 3.
Oh, 3, sorry.
It's going to be episode 4 of Invincible. Spoiler chat coming
You're right.
at the same time as this.
You're right. Sorry. 3 episodes in, and I'm thinking that this terrorist group, the Flag Smashers, is trying to annihilate half of the planet.
No, they don't want to kill people. They want to, they want there to be no borders. They want all citizens to be citizens of the... They want it to basically be, like, one Earth where we all are Earthlings.
So they want to, try to do what England tried to do.
No, they want to do the opposite of what England tried to do. England wanted to wow, I can't say that word today. England wanted to colonize, or not colonize, because they didn't...
Well, kind of.
No, because they didn't want to, take over Earth where, people didn't live already. They wanted to rule over everything.
Yes, so the Flag Smashers want somebody to rule over everything.
But they don't want anyone to rule over it. They want it to be, a socialist, free system.
Why? Is that what it was during the blip?
I think it was just a mess during the blip. So, it's very confusing.
I
don't really know what their goal is.
I'm really confused because it feels like during the blip things were a hot mess, like a free for all in a sense, because you have half the people disappear, you have people panicking.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then
okay.
So they want to go back to that.
Chaos is a ladder.
Which is why they're the bad guys, right? Which is why even though they're the people who... Because here's the thing. Let's all be honest. There is this, idea that, government is this, bad thing that controls too much of our lives, and that if we just all had ultimate freedom, everything would be better, right? And then you put that into practice, and the problem with putting that into practice...
is people suck.
Well, and it tends to be that people get taken advantage of.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And and I'm not saying that governments can't take advantage of people. It goes all the ways. This show is very much showing that the government is taking advantage of this situation with how they're handling the Captain Walker situation. I refuse to call him Captain America. His name is John Walker. We're calling him Captain Walker because Captain Walker didn't come home. His unborn child never really knew him.
Wow.
That's for fans of classics musicians The Who, or musical theater fans of the musical Tommy. It's a great song.
I believe you.
It's a really great song. But the ultimate freedom does lead to places and introduced in this episode, Madripoor, where those people all have the freedom to do what they want, and they're not all great people.
Well, yeah, it's literally the heart of I don't know, bad stuff. Like, I don't know. It's
the heart of bad stuff. A new series coming to Disney Plus.
The heart of bad stuff. I would write that.
But let's get into the plot of this episode a little bit, because they break Zemo out of prison and he takes them to a private plane because he's a baron. Shout out, Marvel. Way to bring in the storylines. Also, they go to his like fleet of amazing cars. His like retro Hydra cars, and they find the mask. It's just there, meaning that he already had the mask, which is a little bit confusing because why did he never have it in Civil War? But it's fine. He has the mask. The mask looks incredible. Yeah. When he's wearing the mask and he's fighting later on in the episode, dope.
Yeah.
The fur collar, everything.
Totally.
Thank you for finally making Baron Zemo in live action and also making it look really cool.
Yeah, it looks great.
Because the mask, I was worried about the mask. Comics mask, you're like, how does that function in live action? It's a purple mask. And then you see it and you're like...
nice job. I see you.
Yeah. You put that mask on so that we don't have to see that you used a stunt double for those fight scenes.
I mean...
but we go to Madripoor, and everything else is forgotten, right? Like, the rest of the plot lines don't really matter for most of this episode. Everything else is just, like, touched on. That big thing that was going to happen, because we had spent so much time last episode talking about how the big thing where Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers were going to have their big day tomorrow was going to be this episode.
Their big day was stealing some supplies.
And murdering people.
True.
Like, straight up murdering people for the first time.
Well, and that's why I thought that that's what their goal, like, to just kill people.
No, Carly's becoming more radicalized, but you can see, like, the rest of her group isn't comfortable with that,
Totally.
right?
Like, the guy that she was with was like, wait a second.
But
she was like, we have to, it's the only language they understand. And, okay. She also had a recent death. Was it her mother? Somebody,
No, that was just a refugee.
Just a refugee, okay. So somebody she was close to.
I don't know, but someone she was trying to get help for.
I mean, I don't know. She was crying, so I assumed that they were close.
Fair. We get to Madripoor, which comics readers know because it's a rather iconic spot in the comics, particularly for a run where Wolverine was living there under the name Patch. And the bar that they go to, the Princess Bar, in the episode, is a very famous bar from the comics. And I was a little bit like, they're not about to show Wolverine, right? And they didn't. But
that would
like,
be funny.
There was a moment where I was like, the Princess Bar in Madripoor, and I just kept being like, who are they going to mention Patch? Are they going to be like, hey, anybody seen Patch? Like, I just expected, like, hey, order up for Patch, or just anything. Any reference to it, and they didn't, because, you know, obviously the MCU has plans for Wolverine. But yeah, they showed the bar, and I was like, wait a dang second. Because, you know, you never know what these shows who's going to show up. Yeah. If Wolverine was just in Madripoor, I'd be like, what? Wait, what?
Okay.
What? Patch?
Cool, let's have that story.
Donde esta, Patch? Donde esta?
That would be the next series that they work on.
And
Marvel's great at, like, setting things up and, like, teasing things for, like, years down the road.
Mm-hmm. So Sam, Bucky, and Zemo have to go undercover as bad guys. Mm-hmm. And the way that they do that is not by giving Sam any facial covering, despite the fact that he's arguably one of the more famous humans on the planet.
Yep.
Who has been on television very frequently recently, talking about Captain America.
Yeah. And they thought nobody would recognize him.
If you were to walk into a supervillain bar, mm-hmm. and you were an Avenger, you'd think someone would be like, oh, hey, that's the Falcon, the man the world knows.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit preposterous that they were able to just pretend to be someone else.
Like, he literally hung up the Captain America shield 5 days ago on national...
it hasn't been too long.
And that would be news everywhere, particularly among supervillains.
Yeah.
Like, the bad guys tend to keep up on, like, who are the superheroes. It's kind of important to know who's coming after you, right?
Yeah.
It was super weird to me that they were like, yeah, he's gonna pretend to be this other supervillain, but we're just gonna leave his face out.
Yeah, what was it, like, Hidden Tiger or something like
Smiling Tiger.
Yeah.
Who is different from Tiger, who I thought at first he was supposed to be... Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, wait, Tiger... No. He's impersonating Smiling Tiger very poorly. Because, come on, dude, just do the shot. They make such a big deal out of that shot. I'm like, you are a military man, undercover. You are supposed to be hardcore, Sam Wilson, and you're gonna be like, I would have just.
I would not have.
I would have. You have two options: do the shot or get shot. It's not hard. It's not a hard decision, and he's like, for like.
I mean, he did it.
They make such a big deal out of him being like, you're an Avenger. You're telling me you can't go undercover for 30 seconds? You can't be in character for like one shot?
I mean, it had like a snake heart in it or something.
So what? So what? I've eaten weirder stuff than that. I ate cow intestine in Japan. I would do the shot.
I wouldn't.
I would much rather do that shot than be in Bucky's position of having to fight 19 people.
Yeah, fair. I really felt bad for Bucky in this episode.
Yeah.
Him like pretending to be like, to be Hydra again, like to be
re-experiencing his trauma.
Oh god, yeah. I was like, this is horrible. Like I was like, oh god.
But it also leads into the best part of the whole episode, which is the reemergence of Sharon Carter, who finally, she was fine in the movies, but I feel like they've finally given her like her own personality in this. Yeah. Whereas she was kind of like stand-in for Peggy before, whereas now they've really like hoisted upon her something different to do, and the actress I can't remember her name at the. Right now, Emily something. She really brought it this episode, and
yeah, she was great. She kicked ass.
She brought like some real downer moments by realizing that like everybody else got a part in it except her. Like the Avengers, Steve Rogers made out with her at her grandmother's funeral, and he might also be her grandfather, and then completely forgot about her.
Yeah, she's just been in hiding all this time because she's a fugitive.
Like, Steve, what the hell? You got all of your other friends apart and before you went back into the past to bone this woman's grandmother, and you forgot about her? You forgot about Sharon? Really, dude?
Dick move.
You made out with her at her grandmother's funeral, and then you forgot about her? She stuck her neck out for you. Like, this is the first time I've ever been, like, truly disappointed with Steve Rogers in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, every other decision, he's made the right call, and I'm like, dude, what happened? How did you forget about Sharon? Yeah. How did everybody forget about Sharon?
Yeah, that's really harsh. Like, I was like, oh, wow, everybody just, like, left her. Okay, cool. Like, just forgot about her.
And you might be her literally might be her grandfather. Which makes the kiss weirder, but also makes the forgetting about her so much weirder.
Yeah, it's a choice that I don't love.
And it's a choice they didn't need to make. Like, the show could have just been like, oh no, she's undercover. Like, the show decided to make Steve Rogers and every other Avenger who knew her, which is all of them,
look bad.
Assholes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Sam in this episode is literally like, Winter Soldier got robot whatever, he cracks a joke at Winter Soldier's behest, but he's like, he got a pardon, and I'm like, yeah he did. He murdered people.
Yep.
She stole wings.
Yep, and she's just yeah, that was kind of an interesting choice. I don't know if it was purposefully to try and like bring Steve down a peg because of the storyline of the show, but it doesn't work for me right now.
I don't understand the choice.
No, it doesn't make sense to me right now. Maybe it will, but I kind of doubt it.
I don't think it will, right? Because I don't.
Yeah.
And like maybe there's more to it because she does get into the car after the fight sequences with that person. The lady pulls up with the car and she's like, I'll explain more when we're in the car. So like maybe there is more to what's going on than this. But like Sam and Bucky genuinely have not spoken to her since all this went down. It doesn't sound like Steve did. So like, even if she has ulterior motives, and even if like, even if she has been taken care of by the government and they just don't know it, where was that phone call, dudes?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's a big yikes.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird because there were a lot of things about this episode that I really loved, like the complexity of Zemo, like introducing him and what complications are going to arise from having him there and breaking him out, and like I find the idea of the storyline really interesting. But yeah, some of their smaller choices throughout the episode seemed a little weird to me.
Yeah, the Zemo thing's awesome, right? Because a lot of times it's like, we're gonna have to work together for like reasons, but this time they're like, we're gonna work together for really good reasons.
It totally makes sense.
Zemo's whole thing is getting rid of super soldiers, right? Yeah. That's his whole life goal, and Sam and Bucky are giving him the opportunity to continue his work. So him, like, I don't... Because there was the one moment in the fight sequence where Zemo beats up all the bad guys and then runs off to get the car. And for a moment, you're like, oh, is this where Zemo escapes?
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's gone.
And honestly, deep down, I was like, no, he's coming back. Like, I believe that Zemo thinks that this is the best way to get rid of super soldiers.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that it's really interesting to have him in the show because he doesn't at all feel like a villain right now.
Yeah.
The show wants us to still think he's a villain. They shoot him like a villain.
Yeah.
Right?
And then he did murder the scientists in cold blood.
Yeah, but again, that's like that's the understandable thing for him to do within his code of conduct.
Oh, for him, for sure.
Yeah.
But like he's definitely not like a hero of the story in any sense.
Yeah, but none of them are not shooting people. What follows is they go out and shoot. They're like Sharon Carter is literally stabbing people multiple times with knives. Like,
well, yeah,
they're
but
all
people
killing
who
people.
are like who have weapons and are coming to kill them. I don't think that the scientist had any weapons on him. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, he was just sitting in the chair, clearly outnumbered.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
it's he
just,
was unarmed when he was shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very telling moment, and it, you know, I think it does differentiate. You know, like Zemo is not a good dude. But he does have his, like, code of conduct, set of rules, like, life goal that makes him not predictable, but at least reliable for the moment, I think. But when that changes, that's, I think, when things are going to get really interesting. So.
We do get a very, very small amount of everybody's least favorite Captain America, Captain Walker, with his buddy Hoskins, when they are at the prison that Zemo broke out of.
Yeah.
And they immediately John Walker immediately comes to the very correct conclusion that Bucky and Sam had something to do with it.
Well, I mean, they were there that day.
It's like the most obvious. Like, I don't know what Bucky was thinking. He's not going to get away with it. That's all we get of them, though.
Yeah, there was like that scene, and then I think there was another small scene with just a little bit of dialogue. But
where there's also the scene where they broke into Carly Morgenthau's previous. They're on the trail of the Flag Smashers, but they're a few days behind.
Right.
Because the person who housed them at the end of the last episode
was there, and they were asking about. You're right. They did have, but not very like standout scenes. Obviously,
a little bit of a standout though in seeing how John Walker's methods, right? Because the thing about the comics that's interesting is John Walker, the U.S. agent, was introduced in Captain America number 323 back in 1986, and what was interesting about him was that he was immediately made Captain America 4 issues later, because Steve Rogers gave up the mantle of Captain America because he didn't want to be associated with the government, and he thought that Captain America had kind of grown beyond the symbol that he was being used as, and he didn't want to be an American hero. He wanted to be a more global hero.
Yeah.
And in the debate over who should replace him in the comics, it was originally either Nick Fury, who is a white man in this version of the comics, who was deemed too old. And
this version of the comics?
Yeah, so the original Nick Fury was white. And then Ultimate's Nick Fury is the black Nick Fury who's based on Sam Jackson, that Sam Jackson eventually went on to play in the comics. Or in the movies, sorry. Okay. But the original Nick Fury is a white man.
Okay.
But he was deemed too old.
Okay.
And the commission, the other person they were looking at was Sam Falcon.
Yeah.
But the commission did not think at the time that America was ready to have a black Captain America. And so, at the time he was known as Super Patriot, John Walker takes over the mantle, is basically just given the mantle of Captain America.
Yeah.
And this was for a lot of reasons, partially because comics at the time were a lot more violent. And Goody Two-Shoes Captain America wasn't sitting well with the modern audience, and they wanted a more violent Captain America. This all came about because of the popularity of Captain America 321, which became really popular. It was a cover with Captain America holding a gun. And a lot of people wrote in saying they wanted more of that kind of a cap. And so John Walker was created in that model. And what early Captain America John Walker stories really dealt with the fact that Captain America, the new John Walker, he was trying to live up to the ethics and the code of Steve. And really failing to do that because he was way more violent and way more aggressive and lost his temper really quick.
And we did see that in the episode, you're right.
Yeah, and so it is very telling. They are following the very, very early U.S. agent storylines, as opposed to later versions when he was part of West Coast Avengers or part of, not Alpha Flight. What replaced Alpha Flight? I can't remember what team he was on. Or Invaders. Like, he was a part of a lot of teams later on when he was more of a hero and had more of his own personality, as opposed to being kind of like the anti-Captain America in the Captain America suit. We're still seeing that, like, very much overly aggressive, quick to anger, quick to make enemies U.S. agent here. And I appreciate that they're going that route because it's going to allow him to have a longer arc within this story. For sure. As opposed to making him a hero right away. I like that. I like where they're going with him. Yeah,
he'll be infinitely more interesting. Yeah. In this way, and so I do appreciate that.
Yeah. And then we see Carly Morgenthau blow up a building, and she's going evil. I have a question for you. Do you think she's been radicalized the normal way, which is unfortunate to say, but like she just like she's seen things and done things, and now she just is getting more aggressive? Or do you think the show is going to go with the super soldier serum is making her more aggressive route?
That's hard to tell because the guy that she was with, who's also a super soldier, was very uncomfortable with the fact that they just let a bunch of people burn in a building. So I don't know. I don't think it's gonna have anything to do with the serum. It might. It totally might. But just based on that one scene, that one moment, I'm gonna have to say no. All right. That this is her feelings and not a result of the serum.
It's a common trope, right? It's the like I got superpowers, but like, and it's a common trope with this super serum, right? The one that makes Captain America. A lot of the other test subjects, when they try and recreate the serum after Erskine doesn't share the serum and takes it with him to his grave. There are a lot of side effects. Throughout different versions of this character. Obviously, Red Skull, his big side effect was that it became Red Skull and was no longer a white dude, which is arguably the most visible side effect. Yeah. But over aggression matching your strength is very common. In the original Captain America movie, Erskine says that the serum brings out what's already in there, right? And so that's why they choose Steve, is because what's in him is he's got a good heart and he really wants to defend people. Right. So now that we know that there's 20 vials out there and we know that 8 have been used, right? So there's 12 vials of super soldier serum that have not yet been put into anyone.
Yet.
Yes.
They may have been used already and we just don't know who they are, but yes, there are potential 12 new super soldiers.
Or there's 12 vials. And here's my question. Because there's a concept called Chekhov's gun, right? You don't introduce a gun in the first act if it won't go off by the end of the third. Yeah. They've introduced this in the first act. Who is getting superpowers in the show?
Do you think it's going to be Sam?
There's two big possibilities, right? Does John Walker actually become a super soldier? Because in the comics, he is a super soldier from the first issue. He never doesn't have superpowers. And the person who gives John Walker his superpowers in the comics is the power broker, the person that we keep talking about.
Who is chasing... So yeah, if the power broker catches up and gets a hold of those, there is potential that he can deliver that serum. And here's the thing. I think, based on what little we know about the character, but I think Walker would take it. He is filling 100%, huge shoes, and I think that I think that is a real possibility.
So, if you had to choose between Sam or Walker, who do you think is more likely to get the serum moving forward?
Walker. Yeah. I think that's where I would place my money. I think Sam might. I'm not really convinced of that. I'm just that might happen.
I could see Sam being offered it and turning it down.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting if they were to tell a story of Sam having the opportunity to become a super soldier and deciding to continue to do it his way and not feel the need to become Captain America in the same way that Steve Rogers is. I think like the story of the show might be him seeing John Walker trying to be Cap in the same way that Steve Rogers was and realizing that wasn't the right way and that he needs to be his own kind of Cap.
And I could see that.
Because of that, I think that he'll take over the mantle in a more natural way from John Walker.
Yeah.
Than even maybe he would have if he'd immediately taken it from Cap. Like maybe he has to, and not has to, but maybe there is value in him seeing someone do it wrong so that he can be reminded the right way to do it. And that might be the ultimate arc of the Shield in the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that happening.
Yeah, interesting though, in this episode he does talk about wanting to destroy the Shield and wishing that he had. So that this didn't happen.
Which I get. I understand why he said it, especially with everything going on in the character.
Yeah. Other than everyone being a bad friend to Sharon Carter, what do you think of the episode? What overall, how did you feel about the episode? You like it?
Yeah, like I said, there were big ideas in it that were introduced that I'm really excited for, but there were some small choices throughout the episode that just kind of, I don't know, gave me pause. So I thought it was good.
Small things that could be explained later, though.
Well, but there's also the things of, like, how did nobody recognize Sam's face?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't have him be so famous that he gets recognized in the street in one episode. Yeah. And then, like, the next episode be like, and you're completely anonymous.
Yeah. It doesn't really make sense. So that's what I mean. There's just little things where I'm kind of like, okay. But yeah, like I said, overall, I thought it was good. I'm excited for where it goes.
Yeah, it is weird, right? Like, there's no secret identities in the MCU except Spider-Man, but sometimes they behave as if there are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah. Like, Sam would be worldwide famous. Bucky would be worldwide famous. Like, they're the people who saved the world. Yeah. And also are, like, have done press conferences about it. Yeah. It's not even like
it's
they're
like everyone who would know who like the president was or something. Like, and no, even more so than that, because I feel like in a lot of countries, like a lot of people like wouldn't maybe recognize like the president of the United States face, but it would be like a symbol. Like it would be like whatever country you're from, it would be like a symbol of power and hope, and you not recognizing their faces. Because the Avengers, like, they're it's a worldwide thing. They are everywhere.
Well, but, like, maybe before the blip, I would say less so. But because of the blip, because of, like...
Which was a global disaster.
And everyone trying to deal with it, I feel like it would make the people at the center of that situation so unbelievably famous.
Yeah, and they would always be in the news. Yeah. Like, there's just no way.
But especially in a place like Madripoor, where knowledge is literally power. Yeah. Like, if they were in, like, some random city doing random stuff, I wouldn't bother me so much. But it's, like, the fact that they're, like, going to talk to an international arms dealer who doesn't know one of the Avengers. I'm like,
even though they're looking for, like, super serum.
They're literally looking they're looking at Captain America's super serum. Yeah. And she's like, who are you? Yeah. Smiling Tiger? I'm like, no, it's Sam. Well, obviously it's Sam Wilson. Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't wear a mask.
Yeah. He has goggles. Yeah. But that doesn't count.
Yeah, this is like on par with the Batman v Superman moment where Henry Cavill's Clark Kent is like, who's that? And it's Bruce Wayne. And you're like, even if you don't...
Dude!
It's like, it would be like a reporter in a newspaper being like, wait, who's Mark Zuckerberg? You know what I mean? Like, it would be as weird as, like, a New York Times reporter being like, I'm sorry, Jeff Bezos?
Nope, don't know her.
Who is this Elon Musk you're talking about? Yeah. It's the same thing where I'm like... yeah. What? Why doesn't Clark Kent know who Bruce Wayne is? Zack Snyder. Yeah. And why doesn't every single evil person in Madripoor know who Sam Wilson is? Yeah.
Yeah, there were some questionable choices. But overall, the episode was good. We liked it.
The action was really great.
Yeah, and...
Yeah, Sharon Carter...
She's great. Yeah, looking forward.
I would love it if she beat me up like that. I would thank her.
I hope we see more of her in the rest of the series.
We have to, right? The ending tease of her getting in that car.
Yeah, we have to. I want more of her.
There is something bigger happening there.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
It will. This show's fun. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm like about a couple things, it's so fun and good.
No, it's good. It's good.
And Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie are just so solid together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos. We have an Invincible spoiler chat coming out today as well for episode 4 of that show, which we are really liking. You can also follow us on Twitch.
I'm over at twitch.tv/KlarStakari.
And I'm over at twitch.tv/NerdyNightly. We don't really plan our outros, so I have to point at her to talk. So talk.
Cool. You can follow us pretty much everywhere. We're playing. We're playing some.
I really just put you on the spot so hard there.
I thought you were just gonna go with it, and I was like.
I was by pointing at you.
Great, I love that. We are playing tonight, that is Friday, April 2nd. We are playing some co-op Dark Souls, where we each hold one Joy-Con, so that's going to be a nightmare.
It's going to be hell. Twitch.tv/NerdyNightly for that. And as always, my name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.